This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1865, Love and Pants.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. How do I see all you guys at once here instead of like one at a time?
Oh, in the corner,
upper right.
in the upper corner, it says view. You can
There it
do
is.
gallery, and then
Yeah, it's simple. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the, one person pops in and like
I
Me
hate
either.
that.
that's
Yeah.
just this is good. Yeah.
Because even if somebody laughs or breathes, all of a sudden they're there. I'm like, wait, the other person's still talking. What the hell?
Right.
Yeah, you see somebody like yelling at their dog to shush, and it's like
Yeah.
now they're, yeah.
Yeah.
How's everybody feeling?
How are you feeling? Is the question.
Yeah. How are you?
I feel like I have like the sweats. Yikes.
I saw you fanning there. I'm like,
I know.
it's hot in here. I'm going through.
Well, I had to make myself look presentable. Not that we're doing this on video, but I had to, I've showered, but I haven't shaved in, so long. But so I was like, well, let me look at least a little presentable. Which of us has had, who has all had COVID? Brian has, right? Yeah.
Nope.
Hey, sup?
Had the COVID, Brian? I didn't know that.
Yeah, after we got back from our trip to Norway.
Get out. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Now,
Yeah.
both my boys had it in January. We took care of them. We didn't get it. Now, at that time, they had the first round of shots. We had more than they did. And we were masked up and passing food back and forth and cleaning their clothes and what. We didn't get it.
That was the slightly less contagious one. Like this new one is
Yep.
like you look at somebody who has it and you get it. So,
Yep.
it's like,
Yep.
Well, all to say, I did some TV watching and some book reading and stuff. So there was a plus there.
there you go.
Yeah.
What did you watch?
Remember we talked about how do people binge a show in one?
Yeah.
I mean, 10 episodes of Cobra Kai. They're barely a half hour long. Season 5 done. Season 5 done.
I'm still like episode 3 of season 1.
Well, I went back to the beginning a couple weeks ago because I was getting ready for season 5. And I just had to finish like the last few episodes of season 4. So Saturday, did I watch it all on Saturday? I think I did. Yeah, I watched it all on Saturday. Again, they're only like 30, 40 minutes long,
I mean, you're talking 6-7 hours.
Yeah, right. And I watched some at my parents' house because I had a dog sit. So I was watching some there and then came back here and watched a few more and then went there and watched the ending. And, I won't go into details because you all aren't with it, but it was good. I was like, yeah, I'm glad I did. Because, I'm such a YouTube nut. I see constant videos of things that happened and I'm like, see, I'm glad I watched it. No, I'm not spoiled on anything. I got my fun, and I'll only say this: if they never did another season, I'd be happy.
Okay.
I'd be totally fine if they ended it. If they wanted to stop it right here, and the dark lightsaber of cancellation sliced, I'm good. So
I can't say I blame you. I've done that. When I had the kidney stones, I binged Stranger Things and DC's Legends and the Lost in Space last season.
Oh, I love Lost in Space.
Yeah, I wish that was longer.
Such a fun show.
Yeah.
Did they officially cancel it or?
I'm pretty sure it was the last season. It was talked about as this is the last season, and the way it ended, it's done. There's no real reason to go on.
I want a show of Netflix moms, the Lost in Space mom, Amanda from Cobra Kai, Miguel's mom, and like there's some other ones too that I was like, just do a show with like a talk show of Netflix moms because they're just stunning. The one in Lost in Space, I adore her.
Anytime she's in anything, I'm paying attention.
Yes. Yeah. So
what were you going to say, Pants?
I was saying, may I give my binging story since you mentioned about binging?
Sure.
So this goes back to just before the pandemic started. I was having trouble getting through shows, watching the same show over and over again, and I decided to mix it up a bit. So I got a bunch of shows I wanted to watch, whether it was new or revisiting old shows, and would watch them one episode at a time, going through them all. Like, so I watched the first episode of all kinds of shows, like The Twilight Zone, Dobie Gillis, Star Trek Next Generation, things like that, and we just go through a cycle and like that. And right now I'm up to episode 121 of all of these various shows. Some shows have come and gone, and I've added more shows, but I just couldn't sit watching one show like you do, 10 episodes at a time.
Yeah.
I did it occasionally for certain shows, but
Yeah.
I like just rotating everything around.
Do you try to get them all in one day, or that doesn't matter?
Oh, good God, no, because I currently have about 25 shows that I'm sort of watching.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So, I mean, I try to get to a show a day. There's one show that I watch every day, and that's Dark Shadows, because I've never seen it before. You mentioned in the last episode, Tubi. I love Tubi because it's free.
Yeah.
It's got limited commercial breaks, limited commercial timing. So Dark Shadow, I've been watching that. That's where we also got Dobie Gillis. There's Route 66 is on there. So some old stuff. That's my go-to for the free stuff. But yeah, I watch all kinds, because I think you mentioned to somebody they did that. The Fugitive. You're interested in how I got to The Fugitive. That's I had that on DVD.
Because, you're the one buying DVDs.
Well, again, it's a mixture of things. It wasn't available complete on any streaming service. So like 2.5 years ago, I spent $40 and got all the DVDs.
Sure.
And was going through, and like I said, it just reached to a point where I was like episode 118, which there was 120 episodes. By the way, I'm sorry if I'm just going off on these numbers and things. There's 120 episodes of The Fugitive over 4 years, 30 episodes a season. And 119 or 120 was a 2-part finale of The Judgment. And the next day was August 29th, which was an anniversary of it ending. So I think I'm going to watch them both on the same day, skip ahead. And that's when I posted my picture of David Jansen. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. So that's now done with.
There's very few things I will buy DVD on. And I did in the last, I think, 6 months. I don't even know how I found it on Amazon, and it's been out of print for I can't tell you how many years, and nobody has it streaming. I've never ever seen it. Saw it on Amazon on sale, bought it. Tales of the Gold Monkey.
I've never seen it.
I don't even know what that is.
It's an Indiana Jones ripoff with the guy. Oh my God, I forget his name. He was the dad in Seventh Heaven, and he was Decker on Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Right. He's the Indiana Jones kind of character. Roddy McDowell is in it as well.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Can't think of anybody else.
Stephen Collins, Jeff McKay, Caitlin O'Haney, and Roddy McDowell.
And it's not the best show in the world, but as a kid, I got such a kick out of it. His companion was this dog with one eye. It's totally goofy, very, very less degree of Indiana Jones, but I absolutely loved it. So I saw it came out once. I missed it in stores years and years ago. Never saw it again. And anytime I found it anywhere, it was too expensive for what I cared to pay. And then it was like, I don't know, $15-20 on Amazon. I'm like, poop, sold.
Yeah.
So I was making my way through that a little bit.
Can I go back to one other point I forgot to mention? So about the binging, like we're doing right now, about 2 years ago plus, I was with some friends talking about what I was doing with, this whole binging of TV shows. I was going on and on about all the shows I'm watching, classic, and they said, you should do a podcast about that. I'm like, no. But I couldn't get the thought out of my head. So I said, let me see if I can do this. So I actually recorded an episode. It was going to be all about a season of one show. So I chose The Fugitive. So I recorded an episode about the first season of The Fugitive. Just see if I can do it. It's 22 minutes long. But the problem with it was It took me 2 hours to record it and 4 hours to edit it. So it's like, I'm not going to go for it. So they enjoyed it. You know, when I sent it to them, they said, oh, yeah, it was nice, but I can't go on with that. So there is a Lost Pants podcast.
Oh, but you got to put it out there, though. I mean,
well, I recorded it just for them because they just said, but we'll see. Maybe that'll be the another Patreon thing at some point.
So I have a question for you about the Fugitive, right? So I used to watch because they did a remake of it.
Yes,
sure. Like in the 80s or the 90s or something?
No, right? I want to. Well, maybe the 90s. Yeah, it was one season.
90s.
Yeah,
I want to say Tim Daly was in that.
Yeah,
I think?
it was.
Yep.
Yes.
I have them all on VHS over here.
And I like that. And of course, I've seen the Harrison Ford movie like a million times, right? And when I was younger, you know, in reruns and stuff, I saw, you know, scattered episodes of the original series, right? So my question for you is, because I've always been curious about like watching the whole thing, is in the middle, does it get sort of just like repetitive where he just escapes Cleveland by the skin of his teeth and then heads over to Milwaukee? And then, you know what I mean? Or is there actual like plot that moves in significant ways? Or is it just the first 6 episodes and the last 6 episodes that you need to see to tell the story?
No, each episode or some of the 2 parts is pretty much self-contained. He's in a different town. He's got a new identity. He's trying to make a living, just trying to get by, trying to find the one-armed man who killed his wife. You see the Lieutenant Philip Gerard who's pursuing him. You only see him in maybe 20 to 25% of the episodes. So it's not all about him being pursued by Lieutenant. It's about him coming across people's lives and just interacting with them. Some, yes, that they know who he is. Some, he's just a good Samaritan. Sometimes it's timing. He was a pediatrician, so he's a doctor, so he can't walk away when there's like a medical problem. So sometimes he gets drawn into that. It's a really good drama. There's just a lot of guest cast from that era that you think, oh, look, there's William Shatner. Oh my God, there's a young Kurt Russell playing Lieutenant Gerard's son. It's like, holy cow. So it's just good stuff. It's not on location, but it goes across the country. And it's just one of those shows from that era that I just really enjoyed. Is the drama that's something different each week. You can just watch any episode out of order. There's no real order to it. There are occasional threads like with the one-armed man progressing through, but that's 2-3 shows a year. You can just watch it any order. Of course, I watch it in order. Yeah. But
yeah. So he was kind of like a Quantum Leapish kind of character where he helped out wherever he went as the story, not necessarily him just running.
I was thinking of what's the angel?
Touched by an Angel, or
the guy from Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that too.
Heaven can wait. No, Highway
to Heaven. Highway to Heaven.
Michael Landon is who you're trying to say.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. But David Jansen, who played the Fugitive, was just perfect for the role. He's understated. He's got these little twerks and twitches to his face. But of the era, smoked all the time. He's always smoking. Smoking, right? But you're a pediatrician. What are you doing? I said to myself.
Right. Well, that's what on the Sirius XM, the Radio Classics, I'll listen to like Dr. Kildare, and they're always lighting up or getting a cigarette. And I'm like, you guys are in the hospital helping people. You're smoking like crazy.
Why haven't they brought that show back? I mean, they bring everything back. Why isn't there is there a Fugitive in the works? Do we know?
Not that I know of.
No.
I don't know. But you mentioned Dr. Kildare. That's a show on my list of things I want to watch. That's a show I've never seen.
Yeah.
It's available. I think you watch it on one of the streaming services. Richard Chamberlain, who's I think still alive, for goodness sake, from 60 years ago. So it's like, I have such an affinity for like classic television, which I consider anything from the 60s and 50s.
Sure.
I will say, when I'm watching a lot of these shows, in hindsight, knowing as I've grown as a person right now, sort of, it's just, you clearly see how there's no people of color in these shows at that time. And it's just like, wow. And I watched I Spy as one of the shows. Then you get to 65. Here's I Spy. Here's Bill Cosby, first black leading actor of the show. He was great in it. He won the Emmy Award for all 3 seasons. Looking back at it now with knowing what, about Bill Cosby, it's like, oh, geez, why am I? Well, I'll watch the show, but it's like knowing what Bill Cosby has become. It's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the same thing. There's The Life of Riley. Father Knows Best was a radio show first. There's something with Lucille Ball that turned
Gunsmoke
into
was a radio show.
Gunsmoke. Is there another one? Have Gun Will Travel. Is that a show?
That is a show, yes.
And then there's
Richard Boone as Paladin.
A bunch of different sci-fi ones. Jack Benny and Phil Harris and Alice Faye's show. The Burns and Allen show. I mean, all these things that were radio shows that I have seen episodes when they got to TV at times, but I just absolutely enjoy the old radio shows just as much. They're so much fun to listen to.
I'm watching Gunsmoke as one of my episodes in my rotation, and now that lasted for 20 years.
I was going to say, you're going to be watching until you die.
Well, you mentioned before about you're not going to die, so you read all your comic books. I'm not going to die. I watch all these DVDs and shows that I have. Gunsmoke, 20 years, 635 episodes. I think I'm on episode 50. But a lot of those shows, some of those shows are taken for the radio plays. It's like adapted for television.
Yep.
Again, stop me because I'm going to keep going on and talk about TV, and that's all I want to talk about. That's all I do is I go to work, sleep, and watch TV. I have TV on right now.
I can only really go back to like the 70s, like unless it's like Dick Van Dyke, Lucille Ball, like the Honeymooner, like the legends that have survived. My TV watching is like, I can go to the 70s, and when I start to go deeper than that, I'm like, I get a little.
I can do a bunch of 60s.
I don't have the affinity like you have for it.
Yeah.
Because I could watch Soap. Do you remember Soap from the 70s?
Oh, yeah.
I could watch that over and over and over again. And it's just a masterclass of just everybody who loves Kramer from Seinfeld. Richard Mulligan?
Oh, yes.
His character is Kramer before Kramer. I mean, just the bumbling aspect and the zaniness of that character. So I love all that.
Yep.
Hey, now, Shane, I was listening to the last episode you guys talked about, and now you haven't been to a con at all in a while. Is that's still correct?
Not in a long while. Yeah, it's been years.
Do you know what's coming up? Not this, with the next weekend out?
Yes, and I'm debating whether to try and go on Saturday morning.
Oh, okay. If I go, we're talking about RetroCon is coming to Oaks, and the only reason I'll really be going, Mickey Dolenz is going to be there.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
Now, I just looked on the website. Now, his appearance, all the proceeds go to Make-A-Wish Fund. Fantastic. But the Monkey Mobile is going to be there. If I get a picture with Monkey Mobile, okay, that's it. Just take me now. I'm in the Monkey Mobile.
Yeah, I'm debating whether I can make it or not.
Yeah, well, let me know because we can carpool.
Yeah.
Shane, you're gonna try to pick up one of the G.I. Joe aircraft carriers while you're there.
Sure. Yeah.
Better bring a bigger car.
No problem.
That show was dirty and dusty when you. I guess, Pants, that's when you were selling stuff, right? The first time we went?
Yeah. And Shane and Brian, I think.
Dude, it's a good show.
I did it too.
It's a good show, yeah. But man, when you would like dig through the toys, you're like, okay, clearly this is coming from somebody's toy chest that's been in the basement for,
But that's how you get the good stuff because they don't know exactly what they have. And so you get it at a reasonable price. I mean, I sold Star Wars toys there that I knew were worth more if I had gone to all the trouble of eBaying, but I was like, I just want to get rid of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And like people were like, you're Boba Fett for only $20. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, just throwing me their money. And it's like, yeah, I know, but I knew what I was doing and I was making a choice. And I think a lot of people are in that same situation. It's like, I can get one table and just sell a whole bunch of, I don't want to take it home.
No.
As opposed to eBaying 500 things.
But speaking of diseases though, God, there's probably diseases from like 1923 on some of those toys.
Yeah. And that's part of it is I still have people that I associate with on Facebook or whatnot. And they'll go to cons and they're like, yeah, I got sick, got con crud, I got coronavirus. I'm like, ugh, I don't know if it's even worth it because I don't have an excess of money to go get what I really want to get right now. And what I want to do is I still have one piece of it left up here and one piece of it on a shelf over there. I want to rebuild my Kenner Death Star playset. And I have 2 or 3 pieces of my original one. I have no idea what happened to the rest of it. How it disappeared from my house, I have no idea. And why the elevator and the top floor survived, no clue. But I want to piece that back together. For that purpose, I can just as easily do that on eBay to a certain extent. I don't know if I care enough to go to a convention yet.
Well, you've got like 7 days, 8 days to think about it. Let me know.
Yeah, we'll do.
You get that joy of rummaging through stuff and finding the pieces.
I get skeezed out by rummaging through things.
It was a great convention though, because you found a lot of stuff that I was like, oh my God, I've forgotten about that.
When I was setting up my table and getting my stuff out, there was a guy walking by, and it was before the con opened, and he was carrying a few things in his arms, and one of them was the larger scale R2D2 from 78, like the 12-inch Darth Vader, the bigger R2D2. Something I always wanted and never had. R2D2 is my favorite character. That was the first action figure I ever bought. I still have my original one. I have a whole bunch of R2D2 stuff. Not a ton, but enough to fill a little like tray table. And he's walking by and he stopped and he's looking at stuff and he's picking up some things. And he's like, how much do you want for it? I said, what do you want for that R2D2? And he goes, want to trade? I'm like, absolutely. So just an even swapped, and that was the end of that. And I have it in the little case on the side of my desk here. I love it.
Yeah, before the pandemic hit, I had booked 2 tables for the 2020 RetroCon. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and they postponed it. And I could have rolled that over to 2021, but I was still uncertain about that. I mean, I had a whole plan. Chris from Wild Pig was going to come down to my house, which was going to be just on his own, very scary, and help me sort through some comics, pick things out to sell, price them, maybe grade them. I had a whole plan to get rid of some stuff, and now I still have the stuff. So
I think I was gonna try to get like a corner of your table too, maybe, and I was gonna get rid of some stuff, and
Yep.
Pants, are you still buying comics or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, I still have the DCBS account, and I just really have been out of it for quite some time. I heard you guys talking recently, but I am getting Fables. I am now, of course, just like many people, including Brian, I have an idea what kind of happened there, but I want to go back and maybe just skim before, because I've already got the 3 issues that are out and haven't read them yet. Same thing with Saga. I know Saga ended before its break on a huge ending, but I haven't read the rest of Saga that's come out. The only thing I've been getting consistently are Terry Moore's books. Went 5 years later. Serial, and I just yesterday we're like out of reach. I just got my shipment. Park Girls came out, so I'm looking forward to getting into that. But you mentioned comics, so maybe I can answer the group here. So I also get the DC Connect, the free magazine. That's why I get it there. So I have a couple of questions because I'm not following DC at all. I was under the impression, reading online as I do, wasn't Jeff Johns persona non grata after having a Justice League movie? How is he writing 3 books coming up here?
I don't know. I thought he was always involved a little bit with the entertainment and kind of would write a short story or write an issue of something.
And
they all look interesting.
Most of his works were delayed because of, just being busy with, he's got his fingers in DC TV, DC movies, whenever they come out, so that new Justice Society that he's doing.
Yeah, the New Golden Age, #1, Justice Society of America, #1, and Stargirl, The Lost Children, #1. All look interesting. Of course, I'm not buying any comics, but Jeff Johns writing 3 books again. It's like, here we go back to the 90s. Nothing wrong with that. Just
retailers,
2000s.
They support his name. They still sell. And that Justice Society, they've been waiting for that book for years now for some kind of resurgence for that team again. And of course, with the new Black Adam movie, they got to get that synergy.
Yeah, it's caught me by surprise. And I just thought he was sort of, I don't know, it was canceled. What the word I'm looking for there with what happened
on the outs.
On the outs, like I said, I'm not hip with the lingo, kids. I'm not 50s here.
Yeah, they never really followed through on. You're talking about like the whole Ray Fisher thing. And,
yes.
It in some people's eyes, but in the high muckety mucks, they didn't pull a trigger on.
All about the Benjamins.
Of course. Well, Wait, go back to Star Wars and stuff. Was there anything out of the Disney announcements that you guys?
Yeah, they canceled or postponed Rogue Squadron, the movie. They took it off the schedule.
Canceled it. It's off the schedule and canceled. I'm like, really?
I was looking forward to that movie.
I mean, I enjoy well enough most of the shows that they're doing, but man, I want a good movie.
Although I did get less excited for the movie after Wonder Woman 2 came out, and it was so terrible. And I was like, oh, Patty Jenkins maybe isn't as good as we thought. Like, I don't know. Like, was it her? Was it the script? Like, who knows? Like, you never know who's responsible for the shitty movie, right? It could be some executive made a bad decision or something. But oh my God, I was like, oh,
yep.
I hope Rogue Squadron isn't this bad.
Yep, that's what I thought. We'll
never find out.
What was that supposed to be about? Which one? What was that all about?
X-wing, a group of X-wing pilots that are, going off and doing stuff.
Set during
a Rogue Squadron. Yeah.
Probably during Star Wars or Empire, maybe even a little bit after that. It could be well after that. Who knows? I don't remember hearing a time frame specifically. I kind of thought they were leaning more towards things post all the most recent stuff. Like to go further in the future, but I don't remember if I saw anything specific.
God forbid they go somewhere new.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that what Rian Johnson's movie? Didn't he say it's like it's just going to be something completely like we're going?
It's supposed to be, yeah. And I was like really cautious about that after The Last Jedi because I wasn't thrilled with it. It had some stuff in it that I liked, but it wasn't great to me. But then seeing Knives Out, I'm like, well, this was awesome. So he can clearly do a really good movie.
Now, how many times have you watched Last Jedi?
Oh, at least a dozen.
Oh, so you've seen it way more than I have. But
I was
going to say, like, the second or third viewing, it gets way better than the first time. Because I think when you see it in the theater, you're sort of expecting something, and then you're like, eh. And then you watch it again, you're like, oh, there's actually a lot of cool Star Wars shit in there.
Yeah, there is. And a big part, and this is kind of it's a small part of the movie, but to me, it was a big part of the movie that had such an easy fix, and I can't figure out why they didn't do it this way. If you had Finn and Rose going to the casino planet to look for some gambler, whether it's the guy that they were intended to look for and missed because of whatever shenanigans ensued, or if this was who they found, why you wouldn't put Lando Calrissian in that spot is beyond me. That would have fixed the entire part for me. Just have them looking for him. Even if they mentioned they're looking for Lando and they couldn't find him and found somebody else and the story unfolded, I would have accepted it better than just some random guy that they're looking for no reason at all, only to bring Lando in the last one for a few minutes anyway. Like there's just some decisions I did not understand. But I agree with you. There are things in it that I do really love watching, just like Attack of the Clones. I love about half of that movie, and I'll skip the rest. And I do the same thing with The Last Jedi. If I put it on, I'll skip through the stuff that I just can't stand, and I'll watch everything that I think is awesome. And I'm pretty satisfied, and it's about an hour and change long.
You got to find those people on YouTube who make those, like,
the cuts.
And cuts.
Gotta make a Shane cut.
Yeah.
Like The Hobbit, there's one out there, The Hobbit, where they cut as much of the orc stuff out as they can. There still has to be some of it because you just like the movie would be incomprehensible if they cut it all out. But it's like it's actually a pretty good movie when you watch that cut.
Just the first movie, or like all three? Because
it's all three. It's all three, but it's like cut into like one movie.
Yeah, good.
Where it's like they tell the story of The Hobbit as close as they can possibly get.
Which that's got to be awesome. I can't, for as fantastic as I thought the Lord of the Rings trilogy was, I cannot believe the way they did The Hobbit. And Ben, when that came out, he was all excited to go see it, and we went every year. And the first one he loved, and I love the first one. Those other two, oh boy,
they're just video games. They're really just sort of like modern. You're watching a video game that you can't control.
Yeah,
because it's just
they just
one
made up
sequence after
an entire plot line that's just not in the book in any way, shape, or form. And it's like, well, you got a whole book. Like, why do you need more? Like, but they wanted 3 movies, and they maybe could have made the book into 2 movies.
Yes.
And that would have been about it. And they're like, we need a third. And so they had to just create a whole plot line.
Yeah,
They
that was
just
ridiculous.
pulled it out of their ass and just made it up. And it was like, well, what the hell are we gonna do? I don't
Yeah, that was brutal.
I don't know.
When that third one ended, we kind of looked at each other and went, "What the hell was that?"
Did you watch Amazon's Ring of Power? Anybody watch?
I watched the first episode so far.
So did I.
I'm 2 episodes in. Yeah.
I mean, I was in. I feel bad for it because, I did go back. I watched House of the Dragon, and I wasn't so like the first episode was kind of like okay, but then I went back and watched it again, and now I'm 3 episodes into that, and I feel like we have House of the Dragon and we have Rings of Power, and it's not that they necessarily are telling. In many ways, they are telling the same story, but they're 2 very different properties and told in very different ways. But I'm feeling like if I'm really going to invest in something, I'd rather invest in House of Dragon because there's just so much expectation in that Rings of Power because I want the Peter Jack. If you're going to go for the elements and the design, when you watch like Lord of the Rings and you watch scenes with the elves, there's just certain ways that Peter Jackson films. It's a different way of filming it than he would if it's in the Shire or whatever else. And I want that ethereal quality, and I want that. I don't want it just in the costume and the setting. I want it in the acting. I want it in the way it's presented. I think the acting is not good, and I don't know if I'm blaming the script or if it's just that we don't have Ian McKellen and we don't have Kate Blanchett, and I get it. They don't have the money for those actors, but that first one, I'm going to watch it. I'm having a tough time getting myself to watch it though. So I wanted to know what you guys thought.
That was my thing. I watched it. I enjoyed it well enough and I will watch it, but it's not high on my list right now to just dive in every day to keep up with it.
I think episode 2 was considerably better than episode 1. Like
That's what I heard.
The story starts to accelerate and you start to like maybe care a little more, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But I do agree with you, Peter, where it's like the acting feels sort of on the cusp, where you're like, and like not affording it. It's like, it's literally the most expensive show that Amazon's ever done or whatever. And it's like, well, I get that the sets and all, like paying the artisans to make all the stuff, like that's huge, right? Like,
yeah,
that's not cheap. But maybe if you were going to skimp, don't skimp on the actors, and like you could put a non-handmade leather sheath on the sword that's like laying in the corner that you don't, you know what I mean? It's like,
or give it, because I know that it was funny. I was listening to, I'm Cobra Kai obsessed. So I was listening to watching interviews with William Zabka and Ralph Macchio, and even though they're on that 5th season, Ralph Macchio said something like, oh, it was great having, these actors, blah, blah, blah. But, we're on a tight schedule and we're on a tight budget, and I always remember that these major shows, like think of the interviews for Game of Thrones, where they are basically doing a movie a week, like creating a more than hour show a week that is like movie level. They really have to fly through the filming aspects of it. So they're not getting 3, 4, 5 chances to do a scene that maybe wasn't as good as if you try it. Let's do it 5 more times. They probably don't have. That's where I think they get. They feel the crunch more than anything. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, like watching on the DVDs of the Lord of the Rings, the extended cuts, right? Like there's like basically a movie's worth of the making of, right? It's like 4 hours of the making of. And in the 2 towers, and they're talking about the Helm's Deep scene, they had the stuntmen who were playing the orcs, right? They had them fully suited up in costumes for like 2 weeks, just falling off the wall, getting take after take and practice shot after practice shot, just falling backwards off the wall so that the action looks real. 2 weeks. One
just
scene.
on that.
I mean, that scene is like a half an hour in the movie, right? It's
sure.
long, but holy crap, like that. You talk about like, we don't have time to do 2 more takes. It's like they had 2 full weeks just for the extras to be falling off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was it in the Fellowship of the Ring one? How many years ahead of filming did they start building the Shire and letting it grow in and cropping it and working it as if it was real for years before they ever even set foot on to film it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's massive.
There's that awesome sequence where Saruman, is that the white wizard, right?
Yeah.
He's basically, who's the actor? Christopher
Lee.
He's yelling at Peter Jackson because he's like, well, that's not what'll happen if you stab somebody in the back. And he's like, do you know? I know, I've been stabbed in the back. And he goes, this is what happens, And it's like, yeah, I don't think you get those kind of conversations when you're just you just need to go from point A to point B.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of these shows, for me, suffer a little bit, because the acting could be, it could be better. It just could be better, because we've seen enough shows where the acting is fantastic and they still put it out once a week or whatever. And
the kicker, right, is that they don't have to. It's not like network television where they're literally filming, 2 weeks before they air or whatever. It's like they're filming a year ago and then they're in effects for a year and then they finally release it when they're ready.
Yeah.
So it's like they got time. I mean, there's schedules and people have new contracts with other things, and so they don't have unlimited time. But they're not as crunched for time as like network television, right?
Yeah. What parts of that? Because Brian, you probably know more. Like, what works in the Tolkien world in the episodes that you've seen, as opposed to like what they're trying to?
So I don't know. Yeah, I'm a huge fan, but I don't know like the history. Like I haven't read all of the history books and stuff, and I forget those kind of details anyway. Like I barely remember which one's Merry and which one's Pippin, let alone like what they did in the Second Age through the small stuff in the back of the book. Like I'm not the person to ask about that, right? It feel like you learn some more in the second episode that like feels like it rings true, no pun intended. But they could be just making stuff up and I wouldn't remember, because I'm just like, I don't know, somebody made the rings and then Sildar, that's all I remember.
That was the thing about the first episode that I thought was bad storytelling. The show is called Rings of Power. Okay, so we know what the show is going to be about.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually bring up the Rings of Power in that first episode in any sort of meaningful way. The only thing they did was they introduced the one elf that is going to go and create the rings for the elves, I think. But you only know that, what's his name, Celebrand? You only know that if you know Lord of the Rings, because they didn't say it. You have to sort of look it up. And I thought, when you have a show that's going to be 5 years, they say, or 5 seasons or whatever.
5 seasons, really? That's long?
That's what somebody on Twitter told me. They were like, give it time. It has 5 years. I was like, 5 fucking years. Wow. I don't know if I have 5 years to watch.
I didn't know it was that long. Holy smokes.
Think of not to spoil it, but think of the end of first episode of Game of Thrones. Something major happens right at the end, and that sets off the entire show. And that's what this didn't have. It's like, don't slow build this. You got to get me right away. Your show is called Ring of Power. Let's go. And I know they touch on it in the second or third episode, but people like it. But I think there's also a lot of valid criticisms of it too.
Yeah, like as huge of a Tolkien fan as I am, if you ask me, I could have that show, or I could have season 2 of the Dark Crystal show. Season 2 Dark Crystal, that was like the best show ever made. That was so good. Like, give me that and I'll just reread Lord of the Rings every year for the rest of forever. I don't need to see a show about the history. Like, it's fine, because that was like such a squandered show. My God.
I got to finish it. I started watching the first couple episodes.
Did we talk about it last?
I did too.
Episode?
No, I don't think we've talked Dark Crystal. No.
Yeah,
I didn't finish that either.
it just got better and better and better with every episode. And it was all puppetry and real effects, like practical effects. I mean, it was just so. Did you watch it, Pants?
No, I did not. I've never read or seen anything about Lord of the Rings.
No, I'm talking about Dark Crystal.
I know, but I'm just going through the last like 20 minutes where I've been quiet. Dark Crystal. I'm just sitting here. Okay, you guys. I don't know.
Watch the Dark Crystal.
Never.
Nope.
Labyrinth.
Nope.
You're not a puppet guy.
What?
No.
Don't talk about the closet that he has right off camera.
Stop it.
It's just not your thing.
No, just never. I mean, I can't watch everything.
But now, and I'm just curious. As a kid, you went and saw the Muppet movies and just didn't see Dark Crystal or that. Just wasn't your thing back then.
No, just wasn't. Just Muppets. Yes, everything else just whoop whoop.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my parents took me to Dark Crystal. I don't remember seeing Labyrinth in the theater. I'm pretty sure I saw that on HBO, but Dark Crystal they took me to.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater.
Yeah.
Do I have to turn my geek card in now? Is that the
No.
But it's a great movie. Like the Dark Crystal is actually a great movie.
Yeah.
Like it.
More should have been done with that back in the day too, I thought.
Yeah, they could have done. But I mean, it also was kind of nice that it was just like a one shot for 30 years where it just like existed, or almost 40 years or whatever it was, 35 years. And then it was resurrected really cleverly. And I mean, it's a prequel again, so like what happens in the end, but getting there, it was really good, and it made the world richer. Like there was new characters and new kind of thing, and like the magic, it was just really good.
Well, that's something that I do like about things like Rogue One. For a movie, you don't need to watch it. It's like any comic book story. You don't need the extra parts out there. If you read the main Crisis on Infinite Earths, you're going to get the story. But if you want to read more, read the tie-ins. To me, that's what like Rogue One is to Star Wars. You don't need it. It doesn't matter if you watch it or not, but it was really well done to me. I loved the action. I loved all the practical effects. It felt like I was engulfed in that world again from 1977. So I enjoyed it more than a lot of other people that I know, but I can't figure out why, because they should enjoy it. It had all the cornerstones to enjoy it. And it's not that it really mattered or not mattered, but it was a hell of a fun thing to watch.
I think people are either like two camps. Like they want to go spiral deeper and deeper into whatever, like here's this thing they love. Now give me everything, whether it's new or just navel gazing and going deeper into the past of it. Mm-hmm. Or other people who just totally want just something new. Even if it's a similar story or genre or whatever, it doesn't have any connection to anything else. Okay. Because they just want to sort of cycle through. And I'm sort of getting in that camp for some things.
Well, go ahead, Shane.
How about Willow? Anybody excited for that coming up?
Oh,
I'm going to watch it.
Speaking of geek cred, I haven't seen that. I didn't see the original.
Wow.
Yeah. I had such a huge crush on Val Kilmer when I was like 10 that
Real Genius.
Willow was, of course. Willow. Yeah, Real Genius is like my movie, man. I've watched that movie like 100 times. I mean, I
just watched it the other day. I had a hankering for it. I just get such a kick out of that movie.
It's so great.
I don't know why. I think for me, it was like, I didn't understand what it was, like what world did it live in, which is so weird to say because we had all kinds of, we had Never Ending Story, we had Labyrinth, we had Willow, so sure, but for some reason that one just, I don't know what.
I was just a sucker for anything fantasy. Like if it had a sword, like I wanted to watch it, right? Like it didn't matter because there wasn't a lot of fantasy,
right?
Yeah,
and so you just had to take whatever you could get. And that was one of them. Willow is not a great movie, Peter. Don't like it's, it's not like you're missing a hell of a lot. Like there's a lot of cringe moments. Like the special effects are terrible. Like it. But Val Kilmer's good in it, and there's some like fun parts. So I don't have like high expectations for the Willow series, but I will watch it because it's new fantasy and it's nostalgic. But if it sucks after 2 episodes, I'm out. Like I don't have any loyalty to it where I'm going to stick around and waste my time.
Right.
I'll give it 2 episodes.
There are 3 things in the Willow movie that drew me to it. I found out that Warwick Davis was Wicket from Return of the Jedi. Val Kilmer was in it, and I love Joanne Whalley. before she married Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
She became, through that movie, then became Joanne Wally Kilmer for a while. But those three things, man, I was hooked on.
Well, he's R2D2 too, isn't he? What's his face? Didn't he?
No, that was Kenny Baker.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Sorry. That's right. I'm going to cut that.
What were we just talking about before, Willow?
New things versus old things.
Oh yeah, new things versus old things. So when it comes to Star Wars,
Mhm.
I'm 100% in the camp of I hope that Rian Johnson or whomever comes up with, it's a completely different part of the galaxy, planets we've never been on before. It's 500 years in the future, or they don't even tell us when it is, and we don't even care. It's not the Empire or whatever. It's just in the future sometime, and all new characters. And we get, as much as we fell in love with Han, Luke, and Leia, give us 3 new characters that we will love just as much as those originals. It might take us 2 movies and a couple TV shows until we're fully in love with them or whatever, but you can fall in love with their one movie. I mean, we all did, right? So like, do that, but just be in the Star Wars world. But I don't need Skywalker shit. I don't even need Jedi shit. I just need blasters and some beat up old spaceships. And that's what I care, right? Like, there's so much in that world that we could discover without it being steeped in the lore that we already have. Like I think that's why they're having a hard time making some really great movies or whatever, is because there's so many restrictions, where you have a whole world where have no restrictions. Just go out there and play in it, make new shit.
I won't disagree with that. I'm ready for something, at least on a movie. I want something new, big, grand. I don't need it tied to Skywalkers or Solos or Emperor Palpatines. We've had enough. I'm ready to go. I'm happy that they're making the shows they are, and I'm enjoying them for the most part. I think Mandalorian's still my favorite out of anything that's been produced that way. But if they make a movie, I want something new for Star Wars. Take a chance. That's how the first one got made. He took a chance.
Right.
Take a chance. Jump off the roof and try it.
They can't, man. They're too scared. Everybody's too scared to do anything new, and
I know,
going to succeed in the theaters.
And I love nostalgia just as much as anybody else, but I wouldn't mind some new stuff. It's time.
Yeah. Somebody talked about that some actor in an interview. They said, all those what would be considered now to be indie movies, but were sort of more mid-level movies in the 90s, would never get made now because they just.
Yeah.
They don't want to bank on them not making them any kind of revenue. And they're not even talking, like I said, they're not talking indie movies. They're talking just sort of the movies that we might like, but they're like, no, you can't make that movie now.
Well, and the rate at which they're canceling shows after, and again, it's like, and like Neil Gaiman was talking about this, like Sandman might have been number 1 for 3 weeks or whatever, but it's like it might need to be number 1 for 6 weeks where it could get canceled, because but they're releasing so many shows so quickly, and then they immediately hide them from us, like Netflix. My dream job right now is to redesign the user interface for Netflix, because I want to, if I met anyone on their design team, I will punch them in the throat, because I can't handle it. Like, your job on Netflix, right, is to make me watch stuff. Well, let me watch the stuff that I want to watch. And so like my continue watching is now down to 5 things. And so the 6th most recent show that I watched, I don't remember what it is anymore because it doesn't show up on my screen. So unless I add the show to like my list, which I don't do because I just watch stuff and it tells me what the next episode is. Well, now you're reducing me to 5 things. I'm watching more than 5 shows on Netflix, but now I don't remember what they are. So now I will never keep watching them. And then it makes me be like, why am I even paying for Netflix? They don't have anything I want to watch. But meanwhile, there's 20 things I'm in the middle of watching, but I just don't remember. So and then new shit comes out, and then it's on the home screen for one day, and then it's gone, and then I forget that I wanted to watch that, and it's like, you should know what I want to watch, and then like make that stick around for a while.
Have you heard of the TV Time app, Brian?
No.
Well, it's an app that just keeps track of what you're watching. Episode, like what's next episode coming up, what's other shows, when the next new show drops. So just keep that back in your mind if you have that problem.
So I have stream through the Apple TV device, right? And they have their own interface and everything. And Apple allows the app makers to connect. So like Apple knows what I'm watching on Hulu, what I'm watching on HBO, what I'm watching on Apple TV Plus, what I'm watching on Paramount Plus. So when I go to home on Apple TV, it has continue watching everything I've ever watched unless I finished the most current episode, right? But Netflix doesn't allow Apple to take a look because Netflix doesn't want anybody to know what people are watching. So not only do I forget Netflix because it's not right on my home screen, I have to choose to go into the Netflix app to see. Then Netflix is restricting me to only 5 things. So now I'm never thinking about Netflix. I'm thinking about what's in front of me, which is every other channel except for Netflix.
Yep. I do the same thing.
They're making me crazy.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have, though.
Because like I forgot all about Cobra Kai because like I was watching season 2 or something. And then we started watching more shows and then it dropped off the list. And then I forgot it was even a thing until people started talking about the new season. Now it's like, oh shit, there's a 5th season. I didn't even know there was a 3rd or a 4th, like because Netflix sucks.
How much of that screen did I mess up when I was there for 2 weeks?
No, there was like, there's like one thing on there. It's like Riverdale's on there. And it's like, get that off of there. When's it going to drop off? Because I don't know.
The only thing that won't drop off is Rivendell.
I don't want to watch Archie. Fuck you.
I love that show.
Yeah, I do the same thing, Brian. I completely forget Netflix is there half the time because if I finish something, like you say, it doesn't pop up on the Apple feed anymore. And I'm like, there's plenty of other stuff I'm in the middle of watching. I'll just continue with that.
Could you imagine if there's no way we could have done early years CGS in the time we're in now because of, covering comics, TV, movies. There's no way we would have gone nuts. We would have to do
7 episodes a week instead of 5.
God.
We probably would have had to do like one dedicated episode every 2 weeks that was nothing but like, what did you watch? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because there's just so much. We were happy to have what we did, and now it's like I think that's part of the frustration too, is because I want to watch all this stuff.
Sure.
But it's frustrating that you just have to cycle through all the things, and then when it's just not good enough, you're like, oh, do I stick with it? Do I drop it? I love those people who can watch 2 episodes and just go, because
I can't do that.
I always kind of like, oh, I'm 2-3 episodes in, now I got to keep watching.
What if it gets really good?
I know, right? Just like you're sitting there waiting. It's like, really, you should just punch yourself in the dick and leave, because that's all that's really happening. It's never going to get better.
Pants, are you watching the Marvel shows on Disney Plus?
I am. I could just watch the She-Hulk episode a couple hours ago.
Oh, that was the newest one.
Yes,
the newest one. Oh yeah, so good. That show is awesome.
Yes, it's hilariously awesome.
God, I mean, I'm not that familiar with the character, but I know enough with the fourth wall breaking and the law stuff, and it's enjoyable. I mean, I've just enjoyed all the Marvel shows. I know you should be more critical, but no, I just love why it's good, wholesome fun. I just love it. Diving into this universe, changes they make. Who cares? It's fun. I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah.
Good God, it's a different entity than the comics, and it's a TV show. I love it.
And the little stuff. I'm sorry, Shane, but I got it because in the newest episode of She-Hulk, there's a beautiful Easter egg, and you're just like, oh, the way they connect all the stuff and
oh, cool.
It's so great.
I love that they take all these stories, tweak them a little bit to fit their movie TV universe, which makes them a little bit fresh, but they do it so well that it's all good. Like, I can't think of anything that I've watched really other than, like, I'm not thrilled about Thor Love and Rockets, but I watched it. I enjoyed it. Love and Thunder. I
wish it was Love and Rockets. That's awesome.
And I'm ready to go on to the next one. It's some of the Thor ones are just not ones that I care to rewatch, but I'm glad they made it. I'm glad I went and saw it. The boys and me saw it together. It was great. These shows are great. Just they're doing so well with just their storytelling. It blows my mind.
I loved the new Thor. I mean, the whole family was laughing. I just had so much fun. And like Taika Waititi is my soulmate. Like that guy, like he and I are on the same wavelength. Like What We Do in the Shadows and Our Flag Means Death. Like, have any of you guys watched Our Flag Means Death?
I won't. I refuse to watch anything he does.
Oh my God, he's the best. He's the best creator working in media right now.
No
like,
way.
there's no one finer than he is. He is
No
the
way.
perfect creator. Oh my God.
I will say his energy. Yeah, sure. You can like, I appreciate the energy, but that Thor Love and Thunder was a piece of shit.
No way. That's the best. That's maybe the best Marvel movie yet.
Oh,
No.
Wait, sorry.
Let's lower my totem pole.
Oh, we lost Peter.
I'm with Peter on this one. That's low on the totem pole.
No way. That's like Marvel at its finest right there.
No,
just
God.
embracing the fun of comic books. It's everything.
No,
I
wait.
ever
There's a
wanted.
difference between fun and there's a difference between fun and watching an airplane movie. Like that is fun, but it's not Marvel's best movie. Come on.
No.
It's the most enjoyable one. It's the one I could probably watch the most over and over and over again.
I can't argue with that, but I can't. It's nothing beats Avengers Infinity War. I mean, that movie was just that's probably the finest comic book superhero movie in its scope.
Yeah.
Because it was so how they managed to weave 10 years of movies and things like that. Watching Thor Love, I was like Pat, you said about, these things are different products and stuff like I totally get that, but then don't use gore. Like have you read the gore storyline, the Jason Aaron? That's a fucking phenomenal storyline. It's one of my favorite Marvel storylines in the last, since Marvel Now, whenever that was, 2012.
Yeah, I mentioned on the actually the episode I did with in the studio that I was actually so I got on the Marvel Now panel at Baltimore. I was literally on the panel, on the dais with Mark Waid and Tom Brevoort reading a black and white preview copy of Thor #1.
I forgot.
And I was blown away by that. So yes, I love the comics for that. And actually, that's one of those comics which I think is now like super pricey now in the package market, like #2 or whatever. But
why couldn't they give us that though? Why did they have to wrap it up into this? That's what I don't appreciate about that movie. Like they took two really good storylines, the gore stuff, and from what I've heard, the Mighty Thor Jane stuff, which a lot of people really like.
Yes, that was really good in the comics. But again, comics, movies,
but then mixed it into a whole. Yeah, I'm sort of getting tired of that. Like, but movies are a different thing. I get it. But we love the comics so much. Like, why do we have to lower our expectations for Thor: Love and Thunder?
I did feel like Ragnarok. I would never have called that movie Ragnarok. It was a great movie. I enjoyed it, but I would have never ever called it Thor Ragnarok when it came out. That was not the Ragnarok story that I wanted out of that.
Yeah, I just don't. I also don't buy that the Thor that we've seen is now healed because he's taking care of a little girl. Like that doesn't make sense at all from a Marvel journey of the past 12 years. That's what he's now okay with. Like that heals him. What? I don't get that. I don't understand that.
Well, you're missing out by not watching Our Flag Means Death, a pirate comedy by Taika Waititi that is also connected to history. Like, it's amazing. That show is so good.
Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
Oh my God, yes. Jojo Rabbit is.
I didn't see that either yet.
Perfect movie. It's so good.
Really good. Yeah.
It's also why I didn't like the new Suicide Squad movie. It's why I won't watch the new Peacemaker the show, because that sort of humor just it's just not.
I watched Peacemaker and I got through it.
College humor, like the website College Humor or Too Funny to Die or whatever. Like I fucking can't stand.
Oh my God! The real guy is Google. You don't like that? It's ridiculous.
It all goes back to Dane Cook, the worst comedian ever, and he just morphed. He just created a whole generation of men who think they're funny, and they're not funny. They're just not funny. Sorry, I can't do it.
All right.
I can watch Airplane, Clue. I can't stand Naked Gun.
Yeah, but that's because you know what they are, right? Like Airplane knows what it is. Yeah.
But I can't stand Naked Gun movies.
No,
None of them.
Stop it! Stop
No.
it!
I like a few
Nope.
of them.
Not a one.
This is our hill. These are our beads.
Brian, you even said you wouldn't watch like the Star Trek Lower Decks because you didn't want to watch like silly Star Trek. Like this is silly.
Because I don't no, but I'm not enough of a Star Trek fan to care about like
Sure.
Oh,
making
I love that show.
fun of
Tons.
Star Trek. Like I don't like I don't know. I also don't think that I would like it if maybe if Taika did it, but like if it was like a Star Wars comedy show, like I don't think I would like it because I don't want Star Wars to be funny, right? I mean, there's plenty of comedic moments in Star Wars,
right?
But like like a silly, funny Star Wars thing, I don't think I would like that, right?
I thought they were doing like a new Star Wars Christmas. No, am I confusing my?
Well,
they did a
was
Lego thing.
That
no,
just
those are
came out.
great. Those are great.
Yeah,
I hate all the Lego shows.
Hey, I've got a question about the Star Trek Strange New World. Heard you guys talk about it the last time. Now,
Yeah.
love that.
in my Star Trek rewatch, I finished the original series, the animated series. I've never seen all of Next Generation. I'm almost at the end of season 5. So a little bit of
Get out. You go a little bit halfway through 6. Don't watch 7. 7 is
Yeah, don't watch 7. Oh my god, 7's so bad.
I'm a completist. So
Right,
I,
I got you.
7
I've
is
seen
so
a little
bad.
bit of
He's a
DS9.
masochist.
I've seen little DS9. Haven't seen Voyager. Haven't seen Enterprise. Haven't seen Picard. I hear good things about Stranger Worlds. Here's my question without spoilers.
Yep.
From what I think I know about it, it's like Pike, and like, is it canon? Is it before Star Trek? Can I watch it without having gone through everything I haven't already seen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well then I might just jump ahead and get in.
So,
That's
in your classic Star Wars watch, you
Star Trek.
probably Star Trek watch. You probably watched possibly 3 episodes, definitely 2. The Menagerie 1 and 2, and possibly The Cage, which was the original pilot.
Yes, I'm aware of the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay, so this really just plays into that. When you watch Star Trek Discovery, there is the second season that introduces Pike into this modern era of TV shows, but it ties right into what happens to him in the Menagerie, and you know what's going to happen to him in the end. It is part of canon. This is just his adventures before that happens.
Okay.
And the Strange New World, that is some of the best Star Trek TV I have ever watched.
That's what I've heard, and I think I did read that it also ties into, like, was it Balance of Terror, the original episode?
Oh yes, don't spoil that for yourself.
Yeah. Well,
Watch-
I've seen it. Like,
But I mean, like watch Strange New Worlds, and you will get to where that's
then go
relevant.
back to watch Balance of Terror. Okay,
Well, you don't even have to do that. They're
I have to.
so you can, but like it's not like you watch Strange New Worlds and then watch Balance of Terror. It's more like that part of Strange New Worlds is more or less a what if for Balance of Terror alone, but everything building towards it, the whole journey that you see Pike go on so far, it's just a phenomenal show.
Okay.
I just absolutely love everything they've done with it.
But back to Thor Love and... No, I'm kidding. I knew when I saw your post on Facebook, Brian, I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, when it came, I saw it in the theater. When it came on Disney Plus, I watched 20 minutes. I'm like, nope, I'm out. Not yet. I'm not ready again.
Because when I saw the trailer, and I don't really watch trailers, but I saw like 10 seconds before I could turn it off. I'm like, this is going to be perfect. And then I was waiting, because we're not going to the theaters. And then some people were like, oh my God, I love it. And then some people were like, worst movie ever. And then I was like, but it's Taika Waititi. How can it be bad? And then I watched it and I'm like, this is everything I wanted ever. And he went into my brain and figured out what movie I would want to see. And he made it. And it was glorious.
I wish they would have kept him in the vest look in the beginning, because that's the Thor look from the 90s when he wore, when it wasn't, it was the Thunderstrike, where he had like a vest and his boots and stuff like that. Like when he showed up in the beginning, I thought, oh, cool. I hope he wears that, because that it's almost like a meta thing, like the rock music. It feels like it takes place in a different decade than like Ragnarok, or a different feel. Like keep him in that look, because then it kind of makes sense. Like it ties into the, but then they sort of changed it up. It's awfully colorful. I'll give it that.
Oh, and the goats, I wanted to strangle them like mad. I was getting a headache every time they freaking screamed.
Oh my God. Every time they screamed, my entire family just howled.
It was funny the first 2 times. After that,
no, it was funny every single time. It was perfect comedic timing.
I actually didn't mind the goats too much,
and the goats are straight out of Norse mythology.
Absolutely.
Like it's totally a thing,
It was great.
Because here's the weird thing about the goats, like it was only until like YouTube where I was like, oh, goats scream? Why did I never know that they scream? I always thought that, and that's it, right? So there's like funny Taylor Swift meme videos with them.
There's Star Wars goats, they're screaming the Star Wars theme. That's amazing,
So when they took it to that level, I was like, okay, that's funny. I laughed one. I'll laugh one time. You know when I laughed? Where it actually like was when the kids got powered, and one of them. They cut to like all of them, and there's one just sort of screaming, and the hair is just sort of straight up, and the little kid's like going, "Yeah!" like that. That actually made me laugh because it was a funny visual. That was the one time I laughed at the whole movie. The goats, I like the goats.
The 4th or 5th time they screamed, I felt like my eye twitched and I went a little bit passed out. Oh, it was just so loud. And it could have been just where we were sitting in the theater. It just seemed obnoxiously loud, and it hurt. But I love that they were there. It made perfect sense. I know they're from Norse mythology, and I love that they were there and used them. They looked great
and stuff.
It was perfect.
Pants, are you playing any video games?
I'm not. I have the last one I bought, I think, was the Miles Morales Spider-Man, because I have a PS4. Dug the heck out of that. I heard you guys talk about the Gotham Knights, but unfortunately, I think it's only on like PS5, not on PS4. So I was like, but no, it's like I got too much time watching TV. I can't play any video games. Well, no, I mean, look, all you only live so long, and I want to watch these TV shows. I don't go. I actually left the house last night, but I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything, so I'll just turn on the boob tube. Comfort. Yeah, I went to go see Clerks 3 last night. I went out of the house to see a movie.
Ooh.
Did you?
Oh, really?
Yes, Clerks 3.
How was
Enjoyed it immensely. It's a nice ending to the trilogy. Very funny. Just laughing out loud in the theater. Maybe about a dozen people in the theater, because I guess they did special screenings with Fathom events. Remember those Fathom events?
They did. Yeah.
So enjoyed it immensely. There was a nice little presentation at the end where it had like behind the scenes. I love Kevin Smith. I went out of the house to go see his movie.
Is there like a small little bit of sadness quality watching it, like because they're all like 30 years older and
yeah you get a little bit of that, and things happen when you get to that certain age.
Oh no, don't say anything. No. Oh no.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I better watch the spoilers.
What an odd movie that was when that came out. What year was that when that came out?
1994.
Yeah, I was in college and people were talking about it, and just this weird black and white, just looked like somebody filmed it they did. They filmed it in their, hometown garage, basically.
That ran at the Fox Berkshire, the new theater, right? The 8. And that ran as one of the art cinema films. They would do Saturday and Sunday and Monday. They would have like 1 or 2 showings each day of one art cinema movie every week. And that was one of the art cinema movies. Wow. So I made sure to see it because I was working at the theater at the time. And, we saw the trailer like a bazillion times. Salsa Shark in the trailer, right? And I just remember that. And we were like, we went to basically every art cinema film, like those of us who worked there, like the projectionists and I, because we're just such big fans of film. So we saw everything. And there's a lot of weird, foreign stuff or whatever. And so we watched that one, and then we were like, whoa, this is good. Like there's like good things happening in here, right? Like, and so then we paid attention to him, obviously.
Yeah.
But he actually got me into Marvel a bit, specifically Daredevil, because in the 90s, I was strictly blinders, DC, DC, DC. But when I heard he was going to start writing Daredevil, I got that, loved that, and then, kept going with Marvel Knights and Bendis and then dipped my toe in other parts of Marvel. But he's what got me into like Daredevil and Marvel comics there. And it was good stuff. And then we did Green Arrow for a while. Just, I enjoy him. What can I tell you? I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, I enjoy his work immensely.
Yeah, I jumped in with Mallrats, and from that point on, I was hooked. And then I went back and watched Clerks, and I've watched everything he's done since.
Did you ever read the Clerks comics drawn by Duncan Fegredo? Some of them. And
I know I've read some of them. I don't think I've read them all, but I've read some of them.
I wish I still had them. I sold them off years ago.
Brian, I meant to message you earlier in the week, and I completely forgot to. Carlene and I last Friday night went up to Mahoning Drive-In in Lehighton and watched Ferris Bueller and the Breakfast Club on 35 millimeter reel-to-reel. And they kept the projection booth open. I stood there for a good 5 minutes just watching the machine work. It was amazing to see. It was awesome.
Okay, that brings up a question, Shane, if I may jump in for mix. I was going to go see a show at the Lehighton there, but after that was the day I got sick because they were showing 2 episodes of the Monkeys TV series on 35 millimeter, followed by Head on 35 millimeter. And I was going to go up to see it because they're going to have there was going to be some monkey memorabilia there, like a raffle for RetroCon tickets. But I just never made it up there. But I guess they broadcast the audio on the radio.
They do.
So they don't want you to, you have to bring a portable radio. Otherwise you'll ruin your engine with your car. So, but I wanted to go up to see that and I just never got the chance. But to sort of tie into some movie more stuff, I also recently bought a movie poster of Head.
Oh, wow.
And I was curious, Brian, with how does that work with the movie theaters? Because I read this is from like 1968. This at the bottom, must be returned after it's finished. Do not distribute. How does that stuff work with the movie theaters and stuff you got in?
So the studios pay to manufacture each print, each copy of the film, right? And like in the 90s, it was like $30,000 per copy, right? So when they were releasing, Godzilla on 8,000 screens around the country, 8,000 times 30,000, right? Like it's a very expensive just to show the movie, right? And so then you would show the movie, and there was all kinds of contracts with theaters, and you need to show this on at least 2. If you want to show this movie, you have to show it on at least 2 screens, and then you also have to show this other movie from Paramount that nobody wants to see, and that's why there's always shitty movies in the theater, because they're showing it's all in the contract, and it's a whole thing, right? So, and then you would show it for a certain number of weeks, and then obviously once ticket sales got to a certain point, you would send it back. There was a guy who came every week to collect the movies and drop off the new movies, and then they would send it off to a 99-cent house for another 8 weeks or whatever it could last, however long it could milk in a few more bucks. And then they go back and then they would destroy them so that nobody could get an illegal copy and show the movie. And then they would keep a few in the vault or whatever, right? And so that's how it worked. So because they literally owned those copies, and so they would. It was a big deal. Like when they made a movie, a big part of the budget of the movie was figuring out how well did they think this movie is going to do? And so how many copies should they make? Because every copy that they make costs them such a lot of money that if they printed too many and then nobody wanted to go see the movie, then they'd be like, they have spent millions of dollars that they didn't need to spend. Right. And so now with digital, that part of the equation is just instantly gone. It's just not even a factor. You can show it on 1 screen or 1 million screens, doesn't cost any extra money. Right. So it's much, much better for the studios now. And I think about that all the time, right? Like that was my favorite job ever, being a projectionist, being up there in the booth and being in charge of the movie and the sounds of the machine, and like being able to stick your head through the little window and watch any movie you wanted at any time. Like it was awesome. It was just magical, right? Like that's the only job I've ever had that was magical. But also, as a movie fan and as a projectionist, digital movies are 1,000 times better. Like literally every time a print went through a projector, it came out not as good as when it went in. Sure. Dust gets on there, little scratches. The film's wiggling around, and so it's bumping against machine parts and things, and humans are connecting it and moving it, and it falls, and the machine breaks, and a part gets wrecked, and you have to cut out, and that's why there'd be jumps sometimes because a chunk of the movie got screwed up, and so you were literally cutting multiple frames of the movie out. So and sometimes you were cutting out 3 seconds of the film because a whole bunch, multiple feet got fucked up somehow, and it's just gone now, right? And so, but when you watch it digital, it's perfect every single time you watch it. Every person if you see it on the last day, like that's why when movies were still filmed, I would only go on opening weekend. I wouldn't go because the quality was greatly reduced by the time it had gone through the projector 12 times, right?
Sure.
And if it was at the end of an 8-week run, that print was trashed. Like it was a terrible time to see a movie, right? And then at a 99-cent house, it was always shit. It was always crap, like because it had been watched 1,000,000 times already, So I'm nostalgic for the experience of working in a projection booth, but for movie fans, digital projection is way better. Everybody's happier,
Yeah, I can't say I could watch every movie on a 35 millimeter reel anymore, but it was sure fun to experience it again and kind of hear the machine going and watch the film jump here or there. It was just a little bit out of focus and they had to adjust something. There was just something familiar about it that was kind of fun for a night.
But that was a good story. But actually what I was going for, if I misspoke, forgive me, you'll have to listen to the audio tape. Back to the movie poster I got from the 60s, at the bottom of it, it says poster must be returned at the end of exhibit. Yes. So I was wondering how that happened with you.
I don't know.
Movie posters.
I don't know about the 60s. I don't know about the 60s.
But in the 90s, like when you were there.
In the 90s, no, we kept them. They sent us whatever stuff, and it was so random, right? Like every week we would get a shipment of posters, and that was the first thing, because they would just go right up to the booth because the projectionists at my theater were in charge of the posters, right? Mm-hmm. So we would unroll them, and it was like a gold mine. And we'd be like, oh, we got 8 copies of whatever movie, and it was like, well, we only need 1 for out front, so projectionist A is going to get 1, projectionist B is going to get 1, I'm going to get 1. And then I would take tons of the extras. Like once the movie was gone, like if we still had them in the locker, if we had like 4 copies of, Interview with a Vampire, I took all of them home. And for years I had a massive stack of movie posters, and I would sell those bitches on once eBay was a thing. I was making tons of money selling because you could make $20 on a popular movie because it was the actual poster, right, double-sided, reverse printed, like the whole thing. Because they didn't care what happened to them. But sometimes it would be like a popular movie and they'd send us 1 copy, but then we'd get 8 copies of A Walk in the Clouds with Keanu Reeves. It's like, why do we have 8 copies of that? But 1 copy of Forrest Gump. Like that's weird, right? Like we would, So you just never knew what they sent us, whatever they felt like it. And it was some weird math that we never understood, but it was Christmas once a week when we got movie posters, man. Okay. I mean, we would get almost every day you would get a tube with posters in it, something.
God, that'd be fun.
Sometimes it was stuff that we never even showed. It was like some random indie film that we never even got. But we somehow got a copy, even though we weren't scheduled to get the film. Like I have no idea how it worked.
Yeah, I'm just reading the copy. It says here, property of National Screen Service Corp., licensed for display only in connection with the exhibition of this picture at the theater to locate licensing this property. Licensor agrees not to sublease, trade, sell, give away, or permit others to receive or use this material. Immediately after completion of display, rented material must be returned and leased material either returned or destroyed. That's like, because it's, as you can see, it's just a little head there.
It's almost no different than Lego displays you used to have at Toys R Us pants.
I have none of those in my attic. I don't know what you heard. I don't have any Star Wars ones up there, Shane. I never gave any to you, Shane.
Right.
No,
right.
I would never do that.
Right.
I also don't have any glued together Lego displays.
You don't have any of those at all, do you, Brian? No.
No.
The perks. I still have, Toys has been, I still have rolls and rolls of those banners they had hanging in the stores, Shane, for different things. And it's like,
Sure.
if I was going to go to RetroCon, I would have sold those some bitches.
Right.
I mean,
Come get them.
when those places closed down, you guys know this though. Like when AC Moore closed down, my niece got hired to like empty several AC Moores, and and they just say
liquidators.
Yeah, they're like, whatever you get out, if you can get it out of there, it's yours. So imagine other places across the country that there's probably warehouses full of this stuff. So.
Oh man, I got boxes of T-shirts, employee T-shirts. I got Toys R. I got bags. I got balloons. Shane, you saw some of this. If I give you every now and then.
Yeah.
But I see that I see that Toys R Us is having like little pop-up stores like Macy's, and it's like I said it before, I'll say it again. There's a special place in hell for those people for what they did at Toys R Us. 32,000 employees. You're all done. We just want to get our money. Fucking sons of bitches. God. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now.
Brian wants to talk comics.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, we talked about it last time, so I got the hardcover of Strange Adventures.
Oh, that's another thing. I just saw they solicited something in this DC thing. So what is that then? Because that's solicited in here.
Maybe it's a soft
Tom
cover.
King.
It could be the trade and not the hardcover.
Oh, well, it's like 30 some bucks here or whatever. It's Strange Adventures. Is that 1 to 12?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell is this?
It's a gorgeous hardcover. I have it sitting over.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
This is the soft cover. Okay, because I love Tom King, but I love him so much I did not pirate that because I haven't read it yet.
Jesus Christ.
I want to read it, so I'm waiting to get. So I'm sorry. I'll shut up now, Brian. Talk about the book. No spoilers.
Well, first of all, the physical book is gorgeous, right? I have the dust cover taken off so it doesn't
Is
get
that
messed
oversized?
up. No, it's regular size, but
regular.
it's fully printed.
Yeah.
Cover. Like this is the actual book, not the dust jacket. The dust jacket's up there.
I thought, oh my God.
It's
awesome.
beautiful, and it's not glossy. It's like a nice matte finish, so it's really, really nice book.
Yeah.
So just the book is gorgeous. But yeah, I think I've read four. Yeah, I've read 4 issues so far. I love it. Yeah. I love how this guy tells stories where it's like it's all mystery, all connected, and like there's a little bits every week that tell every issue that give little clues, and oh man, it's so good. I really love it. And then I saw some of the Supergirl issues there, so I think it's finished now, right? But
I think so.
I'll wait for the collection because I prefer that, so I'll definitely buy that.
Do that with Human Target too. I've read the first 6 issues of that, and that's fantastic. It's all Human Target. What's his name? Christopher Chase, and it ties in with the Bwahaha Justice League characters. But to me, he's writing a great story with it.
And I think Greg Smallwood. I've been seeing some of the art. Gorgeous stuff there. Holy cow!
And I'll tell you, when I read the book, Christopher Chase's character, all I hear is Bob Bailey from Johnny Dollar. That's what I hear in my head when I read his lines.
Christopher Chance.
That's what it's just a beautifully drawn book. The first 6 are out. There's an interim single issue. Issue 7, I think, is out, and then you have through 12 to go. And then I'm sure that'll all be collected too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a writer that I like writers who have distinct voices, and he has a real distinct voice, but yet is able to tell different stories, and retailers love him. I mean, that's why they're getting a hardcover of that quality, because they know that they can sell that or bookmark it or whatever. And I really want the one that's being worked on is Danger Street, which is Pants. I don't know, you know that one. So
the first issue special, right?
Right. They took the 70s series first issue special, all those characters, and he's putting them together in a mystery story. Metamorpho, Warlord,
Lady Cop,
like just Manhunter,
Green Team, right?
Bats. Yep. So I went back and read all those because they're on the app, and I was like, how is he going to make a story out of one character that's an alien, one character that's an odd Kirby, weird character, warlord, this, that. And I can't wait for that book. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Does that Adam
I agree.
You said you read 4 issues. Does it hit all the good Adam Strange stuff that you remembered from like the other Adam Strange stories, if you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I just like the character, right? Like I like the aesthetic of the character, and I just, me, I'm sort of like a feel guy. Now I don't remember specifics. I just the energy of something. I don't know. That sounds very witchy woo woo, but that's how my brain processes input.
Yeah.
So it's fun just seeing the costume and I love this dude's artwork. Mitch Gerard's
it's
work. Like it's
gorgeous.
so good. It's like it's like sketchy but good and weird when it needs to be, but I don't know. It's just like a nice combo.
Same guy from Mr. Miracle.
Mr. Miracle, right?
Yep.
And Sheriff of Baghdad. Did he do that one too?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
And I read the first 2 issues of the new Spider-Man.
What'd you think?
I loved it.
It's good, right?
It feels like going home, like because it's that his artwork drawing Spider-Man. He's so good, and
John Romita Jr.
John Romita Jr. And the story is like a very Spider-Man story. Like it's great.
Where do you get to issue 4?
I'm excited. Well, as soon as they come up on the app, like now I'm waiting on the app every day. It's like, is there another issue yet?
Yeah, the story is the first 5 issues, and it involves Tombstone and people in Parker's life. Of course, he's down on his luck again. But I was reading 4, and when I got to the end of that, I went, "Oh, that was cool. That was okay." So 4 was a great issue. So I'll be. When you read that, it'll be fun to hear what you think of that one. John Romita Jr., he just can really draw energy. Like, like you feel like, go back to like the Straczynski stuff, when there was fighting and punching, you felt how strong Spider-Man was. And his anatomy, if he wanted him to be bulky, he was bulky. If he wanted him to be thin, he was thin. If he wanted his face all messed up like a boxer, he did it, and he just, he can draw that visceral energy of that character, of all the characters, but really, like, it just really works with Spider-Man.
But Spider-Man and Daredevil, like those two, because they move in similar ways and they swing around in similar ways. So there's like, and I think he's just really perfect when he's drawing them, right? Yeah. When he's drawing regular people on the street, he can't draw kids. Like he draws adult heads on tiny bodies, and it's very weird, and it's like, but you know what? That's not why I'm reading the book. I'm reading it for the Spider-Man scenes, and he draws them so perfectly that it's just my happy place.
Yeah.
Who's the writer?
Zeb Wells.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. We won't talk about him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We don't talk about Zeb Wells.
I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting. God damn it.
No, it's fine.
It's just nice to sort of touch in on the character after, I know previous to this volume, he was involved with just a lot of just stuff. And I know probably in a couple months, he'll be involved with a lot of other stuff. But it was nice to just be able to read the character, see what the status quo is right now. It I didn't feel the need to go backwards and like, oh, I missed so much. Like, even if I did miss it, I didn't care. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm in it. I got it. I got right where they are. I get it. It's Spider-Man, and, I liked it.
And that's what I like when you can do that in a book, when you can just jump in the beginning of an arc, read it, and not really care about what came the year before.
And it was the artwork too. The artwork really, I was like, if John Romita Jr. is going to go back, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, I have to look that up on the app and mark it so I remember to read those.
I also read, so I'm trying to like take advantage of the app, the fact that I have a subscription and I hadn't read a book on it in 6 months. So I'm like, maybe I should, get some money's worth.
Yeah.
And I saw before I stopped buying comics, I was reading the new Fantastic Four, which is Dan Slott. And I saw that it's still going. it's up to issue 40 something, and I read through like issue 25. So I read the next issue on here, and I'm going to like try to get caught up because I love the Fantastic Four. And that's another comic where I like when you can just like jump in. You're like, yeah, obviously I missed some stuff.
I want to get that.
Is that it? Or
no, this is full circle.
Alex Ross's.
That's the Alex Ross thing.
I didn't. Yeah, I haven't.
I completely missed that. I've got to pick that up, and I want a physical copy of that one.
When I opened up Shane, I thought the smell was amazing.
Oh. Yeah. Ooh.
People are really, they're really, there's a lot of good words about it too.
Yes. I'm talking about Alex Ross's Fantastic Four Full Circle. I just read it yesterday because I got my shipment yesterday. And it's based, I guess there's, This Man, This Monster. And it was like FF 55, I think. No, 50. I don't know. Geez. Look it up while I'm rambling here. But it's based off of something happened in that story. I'm not that familiar with the whole
in the negative zone
as I should be in it, but it's in the negative zone.
Yep.
Again, it's Alex Ross. Really, it's a different style. It's not fully painted. Oh, 5-1. Okay, it's not fully painted, but it's still Alex Ross. Drawing and everything.
Yeah,
and
it's gorgeous.
He wrote it. It's good. I don't want to go too much into it because you should get it and read it.
Yeah, from what I know, it's a direct continuation, kind of a continuation from that original story.
Right.
But yeah, I saw some interiors. It just looks beautiful.
The other thing I'm going to take advantage of on the app is going back to Spider-Man is they have the McFarlane issues of the Spider-Man series from 1990. So I want to reread those because I only ever read them once when they came out. And that was 32 years ago. And I don't remember a goddamn thing that happened. So I'm going to just jump right in there with issue 1 and let it wash over me.
Yeah, that was a great storyline. Great story, great comic arc. I've
never read them. I've never read
Really?
them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they're on there, Peter. There you go.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I remember going, we would visit my aunt in Pottstown, and she had a 7-Eleven caddy corner from her house. And I was going across the street when we'd go visit her, and I picked up Spider-Man 298, 99, 300, 301, all from that 7-Eleven for cover price, 75 cents, $1, $1.25, whatever it was. And I think it had to be, it had to be 10 or 12 years ago. I sold them because they were going for a pretty good price then. I wish I would have kept them because they're really going for a good price now. Whew. But all those years I had them, and I reread them a couple times, but not as much as what I probably would like to. But knowing they're on the app, I want to go through those again. Speaking of
Shane, McFarlane, I don't know if the Amazing Spider-Mans are on here. I'm
just
talking about
Spider-Man.
the Spider-Man series. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just picked this up.
So you're thinking of Torment?
Torment.
Yeah.
Oh, I did read that. I actually did. I've read that one. Yeah. What's
the
that?
First 6 issues of Spawn.
Oh.
My kid was ordering some Nightwing trades that he wanted to read, and this was on there for like $7 on In Stock Trades, and I had a hankering to read the first arc from 1992. And saw it on there cheap, so I thought I'd pick it up and give it a read because I haven't really found that on any service easily enough.
Have you started it?
Yeah. No, I just got it today. It just came today.
I didn't hate the Spawn series.
I didn't either. I read the first 40, 50 issues of it.
I was going to say, of all the ones that ran, that's the one that I collected up to issue 50.
Yep.
Yeah. So clearly I must have been okay with reading Todd McFarlane Spider-Man.
Yeah, that Wildcats and Gen 13, those were the ones that I kept going with from that Image era.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of hole. My Marvel hole is when I got out of comics in like 1988, I stopped for like a couple years. I was reading everything prior up to that, but then when I jumped back in, I wasn't reading a lot of Marvel. So all that like late 1989 through like, I don't know, 92, 93 Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know unless you were an X-Men book, because once Jim Lee got on it, I was reading friggin' everything X-Men. But, there's runs of, well, you mentioned John, like Ann Nesenti and John Romita Jr. on Daredevil. I've never read that. I've never read like Mark Grunwald's later Captain America stuff. And some of it wasn't all that really great wasn't great at that time either. But there's a huge chunk of Marvel that I really should go back. Once Onslaught hit and Age of Apocalypse and things like that, I was in it. It was pretty good.
Okay.
I need to
Yeah,
get
from that era of Spider-Man, it was like 287 or 88 was when I started, and I went right through 350 easily.
Wow.
And through that, you had Spider-Man with McFarlane's #1, and I read through that, and you had Spectacular Spider-Man and Peter Parker Spider-Man, and I was reading all of
Eric
that.
Larson got on the book for a while, and
Yeah.
Well, so Eric Larson took over for McFarlane on Amazing Spider-Man, and then he took over for McFarlane on Spider-Man. Right.
That's crazy.
I'm pretty sure that's how that went. And then Bagley was after Larson on Amazing Spider-Man.
Once they left, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was Bagley the one that did the next Spider-Man one when it was the new imprint that they created?
Ultimate Spider-Man?
Ultimates.
Yeah.
I've never read that.
Ultimate Spider-Man was really good.
Yeah.
I read some of that.
I'd definitely recommend like the first 25 to 50 issues of that. Like that was a good series.
I don't think I read that high.
It's just like you said, there's just too much to read.
Yeah.
Too much to read and too much to I don't know. I'm saying that, and yet I'm currently reading all the Heroes Reborn stuff.
Oh.
Now wait. It's because I want to read Thunderbolts again. I don't know if Thunderbolts is on the app and you've never read it, you should really read that. Like the first 75 issues of Thunderbolts is fantastic.
It's really good.
Oh, actually, I think I bought your issues, Brian, way back in the
day. you might have.
Yeah.
I read it because you and Mike were talking about it so much when we were doing Crusaders that then I bought and I read all the Thunderbolts stuff.
Yeah. So Thunderbolts appeared in 1996, right after Heroes Reborn. So I was like, I want to read Thunderbolts again. And this was way before it was on the MCU's list. You know, they just announced, it was like way before that. But the way my mind works is, if I'm going to read Thunderbolts, maybe I should read Heroes Reborn, because that's why but maybe I should read the Onslaught event. So that's what I did. I read the Onslaught event and all those crappy tie-ins. And then I was like, well, I have issues of Heroes Reborn sitting here. Like, let me read them again. I have to say, they're not great. I'm only on issue 2 of all 4 of the titles. The Whilce Portacio artwork on Iron Man is fun. Like, I dig it. I actually like the armor.
I did too.
I like the book. The Captain America and Avengers story under Liefeld, wow, are they just garbage? They're so not good. Woof.
Yep.
And he only draws really the first one. He's not even drawing the second issue of Avengers. So, now I'm getting ready to read my Thunderbolts. So it's like, okay, it sort of justifies reading this. But I really want to read Thunderbolts, and I want to read when all those characters came back. Speaking of Fantastic Four, like Claremont and Alan Davis, I think it was Claremont and Alan Davis on Fantastic Four, and Busiek and Perez on Avengers, and this is where we get the Dan Jurgens Thor. Like that whole era of Marvel was phenomenal. So that's the goal.
Yeah, out of that Heroes Reborn, I did like the Iron Man. That was my favorite, and I did like Fantastic Four well enough. The other two, not so much.
God, they were so
no.
They were so bad.
So Peter, Thunderbolts are all in the app.
Oh, nice.
83
that's cool.
issues. I think that's the whole series.
Yeah. Such a good series.
So there you go. And then when you said Whilce Portacio, man, it makes me want to go back and reread the Peter David X Factor, because Whilce Portacio was on it, and then Larry Stroman, and that was such a good run, like in 90 through 92 or 93 or whatever. Oh man, those were some good comics too.
Yeah.
Pants, I don't know if you're taking notes, but there's a few, like, do you like Peter David stuff, Pants?
Yeah. I love Fallen Angel that he did. But like, I'm just not really reading many comics right now. The last thing I read of any substance is when Hulu had Why the Last Man.
Okay.
I went back and binged Why the Last Man, because that's like one of the best comics ever written. But no, I don't really read much stuff, because again, if I fall down that trap, I'll be like, oh, I have to go back, like you, Peter. I have to go read this, and then I got to read this. I mean, I have a list of things that I want to read. Mainly if I can find them in my collection here. That's probably the biggest problem here. I just got to find it in my notes here. But like DC Comics Presents.
Oh, so good.
I mean, I have those issues somewhere here. I want to reread Starman, All-Star Squadron, Infinity Inc., Brave and the Bold, Young All-Stars, Ex Machina. It's just there's stuff that I want to go back into and reread again, like we wouldn't do with the TV. But it's saying if I do that, then I can't watch TVs. I don't know. These are pants problems, you know.
Yeah,
Pants. Like, you just do like you just read one comic a day,
like you do with your TV shows.
Yeah,
because you know when you're taking a dump, you read a comic, right? You take a break from whatever show, you know, and then you know when Hogan's Heroes is over, you go take a dump.
Hogan's Heroes is one of my list of shows I'm rewatching. You're so smart there. It is.
Love Hogan's Heroes.
I won't bore you. It's about 20 shows right now I'm going through.
If you like Peter David, do you like Buffy too? You like?
I've read the Buffy Dark Horse books.
Well, I was gonna say the Peter David Supergirl series from the 90s is very much like
I have that
Buffy.
I read the endings of that with the before it ended, like with 80, but I haven't read the whole thing. But I know early Gary Frank artwork in that book.
That's a good series. It's fair. It gets kooky, but it's especially if you like Fallen Angel. I mean, it's sort of it's a continuation.
It's sort of
basically.
But
it's like a,
what I want to do is, if I get back into reading, is to read some things from Dan Slott I have read, because I absolutely loved The Silver Surfer. That for me is just probably in the top echelon of my books ever. But I know he's done a run on She-Hulk, for instance.
I love his run on She-Hulk.
I think we talked about The Thing on the show at some point. So it's like I really should start reading that because I'm really enjoying.
The She-Hulks are right. If you love the TV show, I mean, the She-Hulks ones are.
It's right in there.
Yeah.
And the Thing series, that was only 8-10 issues. That was very short lived, and it should have gone on much longer than that. Both She-Hulks and the Thing series, they're some of my favorite Marvel books that I've ever read.
His Superior Spider-Man run, I read a lot of that run, at least a year or two. I was surprised at how it's like it's not even Peter Parker, and I'm reading it. This is what it worked.
Peter, do you know? I don't know if you know this story. I'll try to. So the Superior Spider-Man, I think I got that when it first came out and read 1 or 2 issues of it. And Brian can back me up. We're over in London at the London Super Comic Convention. We're working there, and Dan Slott's one of the guests. And there's a panel with Dan Slott, and there's a call over the walkies. We all have walkies, and hey, has anybody read Superior Spider-Man? I'm like, yeah, I read it. It was okay, Pants. You're moderating the panel. I'm like, what? The moderator, for some reason, dropped it, couldn't be there. So I had to go moderate a panel with Dan Slott in front of a packed audience at the London Convention. Hopefully someone has that recorded out there. But I knew enough about writers. We talk to writers all the time that they just love to talk. So I gave him a little bit, and he saved me because I knew enough to get by, but he took over the panel, and it was a wonderful panel. But Superior Spider-Man, yeah, I read it a couple of issues. Good, Pants. You're doing your mind in the panel. Like, what?
I don't know if I ever said this, but when we interviewed him, whatever year that was,
2005, I think.
Yeah,
my first
was it
year.
That early?
I think so.
I think so.
Oh wow. He for some reason wanted to have a conversation beforehand. And did we interview him once or twice? Just once?
I know of the one where he went
remember.
about the Thing and so forth.
Well, all I know is I wound up in a 2-hour phone conversation standing outside of my parents' house with him. Everything about he just kept talking and he mentioned things like inventory stories that were in file cabinets that would never see the light of day, which some of them probably have now in the past decade that I just don't remember.
Wow.
And I remember hanging up and going, oh my God, he needs someone to talk to. And then we did the interview with him. But
writers love to talk.
2006 conversation with Dan Slott. That's where he talked about
the Reckoning.
What was the Reckoning War? Way back when? Yeah,
Pull
my thing. I actually forgot. It's about me. I'm sorry, talking about me. But also, so I interviewed Dan Slott for a panel in London. I also was on a panel, moderating a panel in Canada with Dan Slott and David McFarlane in 2013. So,
Wow.
Nice.
Get that.
kind of a nice little feather in my cap.
Brian, I got to ask you if you've ever seen this. It came out recently.
Oh man, look at that. No, I haven't seen it. That's gorgeous.
It's by NECA.
Soggy.
You can find it at Targets right
Yeah,
now.
somewhat what it is, Shane.
It is their haulathon thing, their collector event that they have every fall. This came out. It's tied to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon from back in the day. In order to produce this, they got a special
Dispensation.
right from Stan Sakai to do it. It's not very difficult to get. It's $30 or $32, so it's a little pricier than what figures I would like to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it just looked so perfect.
It's a nice looking toy. Yeah.
Yeah. Came with a bunch of accessories too. Not that matters. I mean, that's all I really need out of it, but it was really neat to see.
That's cool. That's a comic they've been doing it for a little while now.
You've always talked that one up.
But now they're doing it in color.
Yeah.
Which it was always just a black and white book, and now it's monthly in color. So I have the first trade of the new color series.
Nice.
From IDW, which is, it's, you know, as a person who's been reading this comic since like the 80s, this is like, oh my God, it's color. There were a few like color specials here and there, and you know, but not like an ongoing series in color. Oh, it's a dream.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who liked the Gargoyles?
Oh, love Gargoyles.
There's new comics.
Never saw
out. Yeah, I've never seen it. They're making new comics through Dynamite with Greg Weisman, the
producer,
the
original guy.
Yeah,
I've been watching them slowly on Disney Plus since they put them on there finally. Well, not finally, they've been there. I just forgot about it for a while and finally found them and started watching an episode here or there. It was a great show when it came out in the 90s.
Yeah, it has its following, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is weird. On the Marvel app, right, they have trending titles. So the second trending title is Secret Invasion, which makes sense because they just dropped like the teaser or whatever for the series, right? The number one trending title, though, what don't I know? Werewolf by Night.
There's a new show coming out of that too.
Is there?
Yeah. So black and white.
The trailer's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's made like a
horror movie, like a
B horror movie. Right?
Yeah, like a B grade old fashioned horror movie.
It's really great. And Michael, the composer, what's his name, is the director behind it. Michael Gian blah 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 blah. He did Lost. He does all of JJ. He does JJ Abrams movies. Michael, he's directing, which I was Michael Giacchino. Yeah, that trailer, even I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. It really looks awesome.
So this is a one-shot special?
Is it one shot or is it a series?
I thought it was just like a done.
It says special presentation Werewolf by Night streaming October 7th.
Okay. Then yeah, it's probably just a one.
Oh, and what's her face is in it?
Fraser's agent, whatever her name is.
No. Jessica Jones.
Oh.
Spoilers. Thanks, man. Gee, my goodness.
It's in the trailer.
Ah! Who here doesn't watch trailers? Oh, right here. I know it's been a while, but come on.
Do you see that little blood coming out of his ear right now?
It's not the biggest. That's not the biggest thing about it. Biggest thing is Galactus is in it.
Reaches through
and eats the werewolf.
Yeah. The snack.
Yeah, that really looks like what you guys were saying about like the fun of the TV shows. I think the spirit of the TV shows are right in line of what each one just sort of really hits home. When I saw that trailer, I was like, that's creative. That's what I want. Like different genres, because especially because, Werewolf by Night's from the 70s, all that weird, it's already in a genre by itself. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be good.
Yep. It looks great.
They have been very good about like their different shows have very different feels to them. And they're not like locked into one kind of like formula, which
That's
I
the
think
way-
is
yeah.
very refreshing. Right?
Yeah, they totally.
Because some
should
people
keep
are like,
that.
I don't really like that one show, but I like these other 3 shows, and it's
Mhm.
like that's
Yeah.
cool, that's fine, right? You
Yeah.
know?
I think that Loki series was some of the best Doctor Who I've seen in a while. I'm looking forward to the second season of that.
Yeah.
I loved that show. Yeah, I'm like you, Shane, though, where it's like there are Marvel shows on television on a regular basis, and they're all very different. I'm just so happy. Like, even if any particular episode is not my favorite, it doesn't matter. I'm just like,
Yeah.
the 10-year-old me is like, is this real? Is this actually happening right now? Like, how is this possible?
Like, Curly, can you pinch me? I might be dreaming.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now you're making me second guess if I actually saw who I thought I saw, Peter.
I don't. I
didn't
it is.
think she was in it.
Yeah, I think
Well, either way, don't say anything.
there's an actress, but I don't think it's.
Well, right now it's Schrodinger's Jessica Jones. She's either in it or not in it, and until you see it, you won't know it.
For Christ's sake.
I don't know how that's not her.
Maybe she's playing her mother.
Kevin will watch that. I'm sure he'll watch that, right? Because it's tied.
I would
in-
think.
the comics are tied into Moon Knight. So
Yeah, I would think.
yeah.
It's not on IMDb, so either she's unlisted or that's not her. So no spoiler, Pants. Sorry.
Yeah. See, you're in the clear.
Meanwhile, when Pants watches it and all of our theories come true, he's going to kill us all.
Wait, when you least expect it.
A knock on the door, knock, 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 open the door, Pants, hello!
Candy Graham.
For the spoiler.
Well, are we talked out? My ass hurts.
Out of your ass again, aren't you?
What's that?
You're talking
You're
out
on
of your
your ass
ass.
Yeah.
It's all chapped now. Yeah. Nothing worse than a chapped rim.
Ooh.
I'll leave
So
you on
this
that
was
note.
nice, gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us,
Yeah,
man.
thanks.
The world does miss you, you know.
Well, about 10 people, I think, is what it is. If I would read the forums correctly. You know.
Or there's 3
It's
of us
better
here.
than no people.
That's true. That's true.
I think it's probably more people that miss me. They're all like, that needs to shut up.